Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. Power doesn't begin with money, fame, or social status. It begins in the mind. Look around you. The world worships empty crowns, designer suits, luxury cars, online followers. But beneath the surface, most people are mentally fragile. One insult breaks them. One failure destroys their confidence. One rejection makes them question their worth. They've built empires on sand because they've ignored the foundation of all power, the mind. Machiavelli understood this truth centuries ago. He said that the one who cannot control his own mind will forever be controlled by others. That's why the real battlefield of life isn't fought in boardrooms or on the streets. It's fought inside your head. And those who win that battle, those who conquer their emotions, silence their doubts and master their thoughts, they rule without a crown. Today, you're going to learn 10 dark lessons that will make you mentally dangerous. These are not feel-good lessons. They're not about comfort or peace or positivity. They're about control, dominance, and unshakable mental strength. The kind of mindset that makes you impossible to manipulate, impossible to read, and impossible to break. Because the truth is, in this world, people are either predators or prey. The strong control the weak, the disciplined control the impulsive, and the calm control the chaotic. But here's what they never tell you. True control doesn't come from the outside. It's born within. You can't command others if you haven't mastered yourself. You can't influence the world if you're still a slave to your emotions. And you can't rise above the crowd if you think like the crowd. That's why mental power is the ultimate weapon. It's silent, invisible, and deadly. This video will challenge you. It will force you to face your weaknesses, your fears, and your illusions. But if you stay until the end, you'll walk away sharper, calmer, and far more dangerous than before. Because once you master your mind, no one can touch you. Number 1. Mental power over external power. The world glorifies symbols of success, money, fame, status, possessions. But these things only reflect the surface of power. The truth is, they're fragile illusions. A man can have millions, but if he loses his composure in chaos, he's powerless. Another can own nothing, yet remain calm, strategic, and in control. That man holds true power. Machiavelli understood that external control means nothing without internal command. He once said that fortune controls half of life, but the other half belongs to the strength of our mind. A powerful mind can twist fate itself, turning failure into opportunity and pain into discipline. A weak one collapses under the same weight. The difference isn't in the situation, it's in perception. When you train your mind to dominate thought and emotion, circumstances no longer dictate your path. You stop reacting, you start directing. Real power begins when you no longer depend on outside validation to define your worth. When you can remain calm while others panic, confident while others doubt, focused while others crumble, that's when you become dangerous. Machiavelli would tell you, rule yourself first, because every empire begins within. Mental power shapes how you think, feel, and act under pressure. It's not about being emotionless, it's about being unshakable. When your thoughts obey you, when fear becomes a signal rather than a chain, when pain becomes fuel instead of defeat, you ascend to a level most people can't reach. You see through illusions. You act with precision. You stop being controlled by outcomes because you realize that control lies only in your response. The strong mind bends the world to its will. The weak mind bends under its weight. Build discipline, not dependence. Build clarity, not chaos. When you stop being ruled by comfort, you start being ruled by purpose. When your mind becomes your fortress, no one can breach it. Not insults, not failure, not loss. Power doesn't shout, it commands silently. The mind that cannot be moved is the mind that moves the world. Machiavelli once said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." Remember that before you seek to rule others. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my world through my mind. Number 2, emotional detachment. Emotions are powerful forces, but when they control you, they destroy your clarity, discipline, and strategy. The greatest weakness of most people is not ignorance, it's emotional impulsiveness. They react instantly to anger, envy, or fear, exposing their intentions before they even understand the game. Machiavelli once said that men are driven by either love or fear, and the wise ruler uses both without being consumed by either. Detachment is not about being heartless, it's about being in command. When you are detached, you feel deeply but act deliberately. You don't let anger make decisions for you. You don't allow disappointment to paralyze you. You learn to observe emotions as they arise, then decide how to use them. A detached mind is sharp because it is never clouded. It sees clearly when others drown in chaos. The one who can remain composed while everyone else breaks becomes the one who controls outcomes. Machiavelli knew that rulers who showed too much emotion invited manipulation. When people know what provokes you, they will use it against you. But when they can't read you, when your calm masks both your strength and your strategy, they become uncertain, cautious, and powerless. Emotional detachment gives you psychological dominance. It keeps your enemy guessing and your allies respecting. It turns pain into information, rejection into data, and betrayal into insight. Every emotional storm becomes fuel for greater understanding. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What does this teach me?" That shift is power. It transforms suffering into evolution. To detach is to protect your inner kingdom from invasion. When the mind becomes still, the body follows, and the soul regains balance. You begin to move like a chess master, unpredictable, patient, unprovoked. No reaction, only response. No chaos, only calculation. Machiavelli once said, "He who controls his passions controls his destiny." This control doesn't make you cold, it makes you precise. When emotions obey reason, your decisions become unbreakable. The world will try to pull you into its noise, insults, drama, temptation, but detachment keeps your focus pure. The one who feels everything but reveals nothing is untouchable. You become like a mirror, reflecting everything, absorbing nothing. That is the essence of mental dominance. True strength is calmness under fire, silence under pressure, and poise under attack. Remember this: the calm mind always wins. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I feel everything. Reveal nothing. Number 3, breaking the chains of approval. The hunger for validation is the invisible chain that keeps powerful minds enslaved. Most people live their entire lives chasing acceptance from family, friends, society, even strangers online. They measure their worth by opinions, likes, and applause. But every time you seek approval, you hand over control of your emotions. Machiavelli once said that men who depend on others for honor will never have true authority. Because when your self-image relies on external validation, you become predictable, desperate, and easy to manipulate. The approval seeker bends their character to fit expectations. The powerful one shapes expectations around his character. To become mentally dangerous, you must break free from the addiction of being liked. Understand this: approval is a form of control. People praise you when you serve their interests, and they reject you when you serve your own. When you no longer need their validation, you become immune to their manipulation. You stop living to please and start living to command. Machiavelli believed respect is not granted through begging or charm. It is enforced through strength, certainty, and consistency. You don't ask for respect. You project it through your actions, tone, and presence. Approval fades quickly, but power leaves a lasting mark. The weak chase acceptance. The strong create influence. When you act according to principle instead of popularity, your decisions start shaping your destiny instead of being shaped by fear of judgment. Every great ruler was criticized before they were praised. Every innovator was mocked before they were admired. And every mentally powerful person was misunderstood before they were respected. Detach from the need to be seen as good. Focus instead on being effective. The world respects results, not feelings. The man who no longer craves applause gains a mind that no insult can penetrate. When your self-worth becomes internal, your actions become unstoppable. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." This doesn't mean cruelty, it means strength of identity. Fear in this context means respect rooted in certainty. Love fades, but respect remains. Approval-seeking is the behavior of those who doubt themselves. Confidence is the expression of those who know who they are. When you stop asking permission to be great, you start embodying greatness. Silence the crowd inside your head. You don't need their validation. You need your vision. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I don't seek approval. I create respect. Number 4. Predator versus prey mindset. In every arena of life, there are only two mental types, the predator and the prey. The predator moves with focus, patience, and calculation. The prey hesitates, reacts, and fears. The difference between the two isn't strength or intelligence, it's mindset. Machiavelli once said that a wise ruler must learn how to fight with both the lion's strength and the fox's cunning. The predator embodies both, courage and strategy. It observes silently, studies movements, and strikes only when the outcome is certain. The prey wastes energy panicking, hoping, and overthinking. Mental predators don't chase approval or rush into emotional reactions. They play the long game. They understand timing is power. The predator never exposes its full capacity, never reveals intention, and never confuses action with reaction. It moves with purpose, not desperation. To develop the predator mindset, you must eliminate hesitation. Doubt is the prey's poison. The longer you think before acting on your plan, the more your confidence fades. But calculated silence is different from hesitation. It's observation. You watch not out of fear, but to predict. You move not because you're pushed, but because you've chosen the perfect moment. Machiavelli taught that those who wait for permission will forever live under those who act. The world belongs to those who claim it, not those who hope for it. The predator mindset doesn't mean aggression, it means awareness. It means seeing through deception, anticipating moves, and staying emotionally invisible. The mentally dangerous man studies human behavior like a hunter, tracks movement in the forest, quietly, constantly, relentlessly. He knows who's weak, who's fake, who's useful, and who's a threat. He builds his environment strategically, not emotionally. The prey plays checkers. The predator plays chess. Every response, every silence, every smile has intent. You must stop thinking survival is about being liked. It's about being aware. Machiavelli once said, The one who deceives will always find someone who lets himself be deceived. Don't be that person. Don't reveal your fears. Don't expose your plans. Move like water, calm, clear, and unstoppable. The calm mind hunts best because it's never rushed by impulse. When others panic, you stay composed. When others react, you analyze. The predator doesn't compete, it dominates by understanding. That's mental superiority, silent, focused, and deadly. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I move with precision. Number 5. Psychological disguise. The most dangerous mind is the one that hides its truth behind a mask. Power thrives in silence and confusion. The moment others can predict your thoughts, you lose advantage. Machiavelli once said that rulers must appear virtuous, but act according to necessity. In other words, show people what they expect, while keeping your real motives hidden. Psychological disguise is not deceit, it is protection. It's the art of revealing nothing while observing everything. Weak minds crave to be understood. Powerful minds choose to be unreadable. When you let others see your emotions, they learn your triggers. When you let them know your ambitions, they learn how to block them. A concealed mind becomes an unsolvable mystery, and mysteries inspire both fear and fascination. That's control. You must learn to operate behind layers. Let your calm face hide your strategy. Let your words distract from your direction. Let your silence build curiosity that works in your favor. Machiavelli believed that perception shapes power more than truth. Therefore, mastering disguise allows you to shape how others react without revealing how you truly think. When people don't know whether you're weak or strong, angry or calm, lost or in control, they hesitate. That hesitation becomes your weapon. Psychological disguise creates unpredictability, and unpredictability is dominance. Never explain too much, never react immediately, never clarify every move. The unknown element keeps others guessing, and the guessing keeps you superior. The best manipulators are not loud. They are silent architects of confusion. They plant thoughts, shift narratives, and disappear behind their crafted image. Even when you speak truth, mix it with ambiguity. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand." Meaning, people believe what they see, not what actually is. Use that blindness to your benefit. Appear calm when you're plotting, appear broken when you're rebuilding, appear harmless when you're sharpening your blade. Always control what they perceive. The mind that cannot be read becomes the mind that cannot be defeated. Every great strategist wears a mask, not to deceive the world, but to protect his kingdom. Remember, your thoughts are your fortress. Once they're exposed, the enemy walks through the gate. Learn to speak less, reveal less, and move more strategically. The world cannot destroy what it cannot understand. Be the storm behind the stillness, the fire behind the smile. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my shield. Number 6. Invisible power. The highest form of power is the one no one can see. The loudest leaders often fall first because they mistake visibility for control. Machiavelli once said that it is far safer to be feared than loved, but the most secure position is to be neither, only felt. Invisible power is influence without display, command without force, control without exposure. It is the silent authority that shapes outcomes without needing recognition. When your presence alters behavior without your words, you've reached mastery. The strong do not announce strength. They let others sense it. The weak shout to be noticed. The wise stay quiet and observe reactions. To build invisible power, you must learn the art of subtle manipulation. Not cruelty, but calibration. Influence perception instead of demanding obedience. Guide thoughts by positioning, not argument. When others think your ideas are their own, your control becomes absolute. Machiavelli taught that rulers must learn to act indirectly because direct force provokes resistance. The same principle applies to the mind. The invisible mind leads by presence, not pressure. It draws attention through mystery, not noise. The moment people can define your authority, they can measure it, and whatever can be measured can be overthrown. That's why the unseen strategist lasts longer than the visible ruler. Power that moves in silence can never be destroyed because no one can attack what they can't locate. Your goal should be to influence decisions without appearing to. Make others feel your absence more than your presence. When you walk away, your energy should still guide the room. When you speak, your words should echo long after silence returns. True mental dominance doesn't need confrontation. It bends reality through calm command. Machiavelli once said, "Men in general judge more by the sense of sight than by the sense of touch, because everyone can see, but few can feel." Invisible power flips that rule. You stop showing and start making them feel. When others can sense strength but can't trace its source, they obey instinctively. You become a psychological shadow, unseen yet unavoidable. The less you reveal, the more they imagine, and imagination is more powerful than truth. Invisible power isn't about hiding forever. It's about striking only when revelation serves your strategy. Appear when it benefits you, vanish when it doesn't. That's control on a Machiavellian level, subtle, fluid, unstoppable. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My presence speaks louder than words. Number 7. Self-mastery before world mastery. Before you attempt to control the world, you must conquer the storm within. Every person dreams of dominance, but very few realize that the greatest enemy isn't outside, it's inside. Machiavelli once said that the first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. You can't command people if you can't command impulses. You can't lead minds if you can't lead emotions. Self-mastery is the foundation of every empire, the core of every disciplined mind, and the secret weapon of every strategic thinker. The undisciplined man is a slave to urges, anger, greed, lust, fear, pride. The disciplined man commands these forces like tools. He feels emotion, but he chooses action. He senses temptation, but he decides timing. He acknowledges chaos, but he builds order. Self-control isn't about suppressing instincts, it's about directing them with precision. When your desires obey your intellect, you become unstoppable. The weak man blames the world. The strong one rewires his reactions. Every time you delay gratification, resist provocation, or stay calm under insult, you are sharpening your mental sword. Every uncontrolled reaction leaks power. Every controlled response expands it. Machiavelli understood that leadership starts with restraint, because power without discipline collapses under pressure. Kings fall not from external enemies, but from internal corruption. The same applies to the mind. When emotion rules logic, destruction follows. Self-mastery gives you the strength to stand alone, to stay unmoved when the crowd sways, and to think clearly when fear blinds others. It builds consistency, and consistency builds credibility. Without inner command, success becomes luck. With it, success becomes inevitable. Master your focus, and the world becomes predictable. Master your anger, and enemies lose leverage. Master your fears, and challenges turn into opportunities. Machiavelli once said, "Whosoever desires constant success must change his conduct with the times." To adapt requires control, because adaptation without stability is collapse. The self-mastered man can shift strategies without losing direction. He moves through chaos with elegance because his center is unshakable. This is what separates the rulers from the ruled, the ability to remain calm while everything burns. Remember, the mind that rules itself can never be conquered. The greatest throne you'll ever sit on is your own consciousness, and the greatest crown you'll ever wear is discipline. When you rule yourself, the world follows naturally. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I rule myself completely. Number 8. Building a mental fortress. The world will constantly attempt to enter your mind through praise, criticism, flattery, and fear. Every word you hear is either a weapon or a test. Most people let these arrows pierce directly into their emotions, giving others free access to their peace. A strong mind builds walls, not doors. Machiavelli once said that a wise ruler must build defenses so secure that no enemy dares to attack. The same principle applies to the mind. Your defenses are silence, focus, and detachment. When insults arrive, they bounce off your composure. When praise comes, it passes through without inflating your ego. You stop being reactive and you start being selective. Building a mental fortress means protecting your energy from emotional theft. Every reaction costs power. Every still moment preserves it. People will attempt to provoke, manipulate, or distract you because they cannot stand a mind that cannot be moved. They'll try to test your limits with drama, deceit, or temptation. But once your inner walls are solid, their efforts collapse. Machiavelli taught that control begins with perception. And when you control what enters your perception, you control how reality affects you. Guard your focus as if it were treasure, because it is. Every second wasted on meaningless talk or pointless conflict weakens your internal defenses. The mentally dangerous man allows no one to rent space in his head. He observes noise but doesn't absorb it. He hears chaos but doesn't let it echo. This fortress isn't built overnight. It's forged through repetition, silence, and awareness. You learn to pause before responding, to breathe before reacting, to evaluate before believing. The more you master this art, the less the external world controls your internal weather. Machiavelli once said, "He who becomes master of others must first master himself." Your mental fortress is that mastery manifested. It's what allows you to remain calm when provoked, strategic when challenged, and invisible when threatened. Protect your thoughts from corruption by filtering what you consume. Guard your attention like a king guards his crown. A wandering mind is a conquered mind. A focused mind is an empire. When you're mentally fortified, you stop needing to prove anything. Peace becomes your armor, patience your weapon, and focus your shield. The calm mind becomes impenetrable. Remember, silence cannot be defeated. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind is my fortress. Number 9, rule without a crown. True rulers don't need recognition, titles, or applause because their influence exists beyond visibility. They command silently, lead naturally, and dominate through presence rather than position. Machiavelli once said that men are impressed more by what they see than what they feel. Yet the wisest ruler flips that truth. He leads through unseen force, not outward show. The illusion of authority fades, but genuine power rooted in inner certainty endures. To rule without a crown means understanding that status is temporary, but presence is eternal. You don't need to announce dominance when people feel it the moment you enter a room. Confidence that demands no validation becomes magnetic. You move differently when your sense of power doesn't depend on approval or hierarchy. You act with assurance because your direction doesn't require confirmation. Machiavelli believed that control gained through fear or admiration must still be maintained through skill, otherwise it vanishes. The invisible ruler keeps order through energy, not enforcement. He shapes outcomes subtly, steering minds with quiet conviction rather than overt demand. Those who rely on authority lose influence when the crown is gone, but those who command respect through character never lose followers. To rule without symbols, you must possess composure under pressure, decisiveness in confusion, and balance in success. Leadership is not about being served, it's about being stable when others collapse. People instinctively trust those who radiate certainty, not those who shout commands. The calm man becomes the anchor for the fearful crowd. His silence speaks louder than speeches, his restraint more powerful than displays. Machiavelli once said, "Men sooner forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony." It reminds us that loyalty is built not on emotion, but on perceived strength. When you project stability, people align with your rhythm because it feels safe. That's psychological leadership, quiet influence, controlled dominance, invisible power. You must learn to detach from titles because they don't define capability. The throne doesn't make the ruler makes the throne meaningful. Influence without recognition is the highest mastery. When you stop chasing acknowledgement, you become unforgettable. Rule through behavior, not declarations. Guide through wisdom, not fear. Lead without claiming leadership, and others will follow instinctively. That's the essence of Machiavellian control, authority built on mastery of presence. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I lead without titles. Number 10. The Machiavellian mindset. The Machiavellian mindset is the art of becoming power itself, not seeking it, not borrowing it, but embodying it until control flows naturally through your presence. Machiavelli once said that men rise by either virtue or fortune, but only those with disciplined minds remain above both. To think like a Machiavellian is to detach from illusions and master reality. You stop wishing the world were fair and start understanding how it truly operates. You see human behavior not through emotion, but through cause and effect. The Machiavellian mind studies patterns, not feelings, results, not excuses. It doesn't complain about manipulation because it learns to master the mechanics of influence. It sees weakness as information, betrayal as instruction, and chaos as opportunity. The modern world teaches emotional fragility, but the Machiavellian learns emotional precision. He knows that morality without strategy leads to defeat, while strategy without morality breeds emptiness. So he walks between both, controlling his balance with absolute awareness. Power doesn't corrupt the Machiavellian mind, it reveals it. He understands that power is neither good nor evil, it's neutral energy shaped by intent. He doesn't waste time proving himself because he knows perception is the real battlefield. When you master perception, you no longer chase validation, you design influence. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to act and repent than not to act and regret." That's the essence of his philosophy, courage guided by intelligence. The Machiavellian acts decisively because indecision kills more dreams than failure. He adapts like water, flows through resistance, and molds himself to circumstances without losing identity. Every challenge becomes a test of composure. Every loss becomes training for greater control. He is ruthless with distraction, loyal only to vision, and detached from anything that threatens mental clarity. To live with this mindset is to operate in a realm where emotion serves purpose and logic drives movement. It's not about being heartless, it's about being unbreakable. The Machiavellian doesn't fight for dominance, he becomes dominance. His power doesn't scream, it vibrates quietly, reshaping everything around him. The one who owns his mind cannot be ruled because his stability becomes a force of gravity others can't escape. That is what makes him truly dangerous. His control is invisible but absolute. The world fears those who cannot be provoked, controlled, or predicted. Most people live in constant reaction, their lives dictated by opinions, insults, and circumstances. They surrender their power the moment they allow emotions to lead. But you have learned differently. You've discovered that the greatest battlefield is internal, that true influence begins in thought, and that dominance is earned silently through discipline, strategy, and awareness. Machiavelli taught that rulers who master themselves need not fear the chaos around them. You are now equipped to stand unshaken, to move without desperation, and to act without needing permission. The inner crown you wear cannot be stolen because it is forged through mastery of mind, emotion, and perception. Every insult that once wounded you now passes like wind against steel. Every praise that once distracted you now floats without weight. You have become a force that is quiet, subtle, and impossible to manipulate. Influence no longer requires your explanation. Authority no longer demands recognition. Your presence speaks, your decisions ripple, and your focus becomes untouchable. Remember, power begins within. Once you command your thoughts, control your reactions, and master your identity, the external world bends to your will. You are no longer a player of others' games. You are the architect of your own reality. This is the essence of mental danger: calm, invisible, and undeniable strength. Let this mindset guide every choice, every conversation, and every action. The war is already won inside, and now, with your mind as your fortress, nothing can conquer you. If this journey sharpened your mind and reshaped your strategy, make sure to like this video, share it with those who need it, and subscribe to the channel for more insights on dominance, control, and mental mastery. You are now part of a path few dare to walk, a path toward becoming untouchable. I want you to drop this final affirmation in the comments. My mind rules everything.